In this video, I'm going to share with you my best and worst cinema experiences. Hey, it's me AP and welcome back to another edition of Awesome Cinema Memories, the show where I share all my cinema memories with you all. And then on this edition of the show, I want to share with you multiple memories of the cinema experience. And I'm going to talk about some of my best experiences at the cinema and some of my worst. You know, I've had quite a few of both, and I'm sure we all have. We've had experiences where we went to the cinema and we've had, a really bad time and we've not enjoyed the whole journey there. And then sometimes we've had some great experiences where, you come out smiling like the Cheshire Cat. So I hope you enjoy my list of best and worst. So the first experience I want to talk about is a good one. It's one of the best experiences, and that would be watching War for the Planet of the Apes, the final chapter of the new trilogy of Planet of the Apes movies. I'm a big Planet of the Apes fan. I enjoyed, for what they were, I really enjoyed the original movies, and I was a big fan of the TV show as well. I've watched them all back to back. Obviously, I weren't born at the time when they were released, but something I've enjoyed throughout my life watching them. And when they released the trilogy, the new trilogy, the first one, I thought it was exciting, very exciting movie, and just I love the idea of them doing this new reboot, and with the effects they can do now with the CGI, with the mocaps on. I thought they looked amazing, and I enjoyed the story. It was like a fresh take on what Planet of the Apes is, and that rebuilding of how they become the Planet of the Apes on Earth now. I enjoyed War for the Planet of the Apes. I thought was one of the best movies I've ever watched. It just, again, the look of the apes, the story, the war between man and apes, some great performances in there, especially Woody Harrelson. His performance as the antagonist of the movie was great. This music was fantastic. I believe it was Michael Giacchino who did the soundtrack for this, and I think he'd done the music for the other three movies as well, as far as I know. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought when I went to cinema, I came out overjoyed with just seeing a grand finale, and it's sort of, it leads on. There's question marks where there could be more, so more movies now, and I believe they have announced that they are going to do more Planet of the Apes movies, but it signalled the end for this trilogy, but it left the door open, and it was just an epic movie. The fantastic war movie, and just a fantastic, gritty, dark story, and very, again, I talk about this a lot, like emotions in movies. For me to have a good movie experience, it's all to do with the emotion, and the emotion you get with Caesar and his family, his family being, part of his family being murdered throughout this movie. There's a lot of emotion, and I think it really grips the viewer. It gripped me as a viewer when I was watching this at the cinema. So the next experience I want to talk about is a bad one. A bad one for me, just because the look of it wasn't great. So what I'm talking about is Peter Cushing, Moff Tarkin, his character Moff Tarkin in Star Wars Rogue One, the spin-off movie. Peter Cushing is an actor who is, a beloved actor. Especially played his big part in a lot of the Hammer horror films here in the UK. Peter Cushing died several years ago now. I believe it was in the 90s he died. So we have Rogue One, which is the precursor really to A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie. It's sort of tying in all the stories, the backstories to A New Hope, how they got the plans to destroy the Death Star. So within this movie, they decided to feature Peter Cushing's character from A New Hope, Moff Tarkin, in it. But they didn't want to recast the role. They decided to use mocap technology, get a new actor in there to play Peter Cushing. So they got like the authorization from Peter Cushing's family to use his image, and they digitally put his face over the actor's face. And I did not enjoy it one bit. It just took me out of the movie when I was watching them scenes in Rogue One. I like it. Rogue One is a great movie. Don't get me wrong about that. I really enjoyed Rogue One as a movie, but it started off with, they would show Moff Tarkin in a reflection in a window, and I knew about this before, and I knew that his character would feature. I didn't know to what like how much, what his capacity would be within this movie. So, you know, the first sight we see of his character is just a reflection in a mirror, a reflection in a window, and you can't really tell at that point that it's a digitalized face. And it works well for a moment, and you think maybe that's just where they're going to leave it. They're not going to show his face directly, it's just going to be him looking in the mirror. You see the sort of just the outline of his face, so it doesn't look too bad. But then he turns around and you see the face, and it looks like a video game version of him, and it doesn't fit in with then real human characters within the movie. It just takes me out of the movie a bit when I'm watching them scenes, and his character does feature throughout that movie as well. It's not like a small amount. He's in it quite substantially in that movie. So for me, it took me out of the movie for those scenes, and I didn't enjoy it. So for me, it wasn't a good cinema experience. I want to talk about now another scene from the Rogue One movie, and this is a good one. This is a positive one, one of my best moments at the cinema, and that is the very end of the movie when it really just leads on to A New Hope, but we get the true evilness of Darth Vader. He just lays into some of the rebel troops and just destroys them. Gets his lightsaber. It's fantastic music, really dark, like stomping music, and he's just laying in. And they're trying to get the plans to Princess Leia. They're going through the doors, and you could see, you know, the costumes within the first movie. The first few scenes of the first movie featured as well. And it's just so exciting because you know what's happening, you know what's going to happen next. But I think it's great as well because I love Darth Vader as a villain, but I suppose by the end of the original trilogy, he was more humanized and he was no longer a villain. You know, he became Anakin Skywalker again in these final seconds, and you know, he redeemed himself. But this movie here and this scene particularly really ignites him as a villain again and makes him, you know, it makes you fear Darth Vader and makes you think, wow, this guy is truly a badass. And when I was seeing this in the movie theater, in the cinemas, I was just so elated. I thought, this is amazing. This is an amazing scene. This is what I want to see from Darth Vader, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It was such an amazing experience to watch, and I've watched it tons of times after. I'm always watching it on YouTube, just that particular scene, because I love it so much. The next experience I want to talk about is a bad experience, and it is my first ever cinema experience. So I'm going to talk about it. It was, I believe the year was 1995, and I was a young boy, a very young boy at that time. And first time I ever went to the cinema, my mum and dad took me. And the movie I went to see was Babe, the first Babe movie. And I'd never, let me just like iron out the wrinkles here. I was going to the cinema the first ever time, a little kid, go in there, and I watched this movie, and they had to take me out after about 20 minutes because I found it way too loud. I went to one of my local cinemas in the UK, and the noise, and you wouldn't even think it from a film like Babe, but I think because I was so used to watching TV and just a normal TV set, and it wasn't particularly loud, I went to cinemas first time and I just burst out crying. They had to take me outside, and I was bursting into tears because I was so shocked by the loudness of Babe, and it really just freaked me out as a kid. And you know, we went back in and watched the rest of the movie. Mum and dad told me this anyway, but all I can remember from that is just going out and crying my eyes out because I was just shocked by the loudness, and it just didn't feel right. It felt really unusual. It was a new experience, and I obviously didn't know what to expect, and the loudness just got to me. And yeah, Babe made me cry as a kid and took me out to the cinema. That was a bad experience, but I've got over that, and you know, I've not cried in the cinema since, honestly. Next up, I want to talk about a movie experience when I went to see Deadpool at the cinema. So I went and seen Deadpool, and this is a good experience. This is a good experience for me, one of my best experiences. So the first Deadpool movie, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know much about the character. I go into the cinema and basically sitting down, and there's not many in there. It's a really small theatre, and start watching the entrance, and if you've watched this movie, you know the entrance to the movie. You've got the Angel of the Morning song, and it's a really cool title scene. You know, it's really shows a lot of what we're going to see within the movie. It's just a really cool title sequence for me. I really enjoyed it, and especially the song fitted in really well with this with this start of the movie. So I'm watching the start of the movie, and it's about they went through the title sequence, and then another 5 or 10 minutes in, and I was still just like so happy about the title sequence. I thought it was awesome. And then, like I said, there weren't that many in the cinema. Next minute, door opens, and one of the cinema staff walks into the room, doing a slow walk. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Why are they in? Maybe they're just inspecting to see if anyone's got any illegal food in there, or maybe someone's not paid for a ticket. And then the guy is just like, puts his hands up and just goes, I'm really sorry, ladies and gents, but we're going to have to stop this movie. We're going to have to start it and restart it, because not everyone came in for this viewing experience. So there was basically, they started the movie too early. They didn't play any of the adverts prior to the movie or any of the trailers. They just went straight into the movie. So they probably skipped about 10 minutes of advertisements, and people were still coming in. So then they apologised, and obviously no one said anything. No one was like kicking up a fuss. I was just like, whoa, this has never happened in a cinema before. They've never stopped and restarted the movie. So they stop it, restart it, let everyone come in. And bear in mind, there was about 2 or 3 people who came in. It wasn't like 50 people who were waiting who'd not seen the movie. There was about 3 people. So 3 people come in then, and then they restart this movie again. And I was not bothered, because I really wanted to see that title sequence again, because I thought it was so funny. I thought it was a great sequence of movie titles. I was happy to see it again. So for me, it was a good experience seeing the movie restarted and played again. The next movie experience I want to speak about it's not a good one. It is Iron Man 3. I really enjoyed Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. I know a lot of people say Iron Man 2 is not as good, but I still enjoyed it. Iron Man 1 was definitely the best one. But I was really excited, because this was the finale to the trilogy, the sending off for Iron Man, really, of his trilogy of movies. They said they weren't going to do any more at that point. So I was really excited to see what they had in store for this movie. And I just didn't enjoy it. It was a movie set at Christmas time. For one, I don't really like movies unless it's a Christmas movie. I don't like it set within Christmas time. And there's a few scenes that are set through in Christmas, and there's Christmas songs, I believe, that are thrown in there. This is how rare I've watched this movie. I've probably watched it once or twice since it came out. And again, I just didn't enjoy the experience. It was one of those movie experiences. I was watching it, and I just wanted the movie to end. I was really unhappy in there. I was just sitting in my cinema, and I was like, oh God, this is trash. And what really sort of like bugged me is because when I left the cinema after the movie finished, for weeks after, I was reading reviews, and people were saying, oh, this is a belting movie, this is really good. And it annoyed me, because I just couldn't see the good movie in there. And it really sort of bugs me sometimes when, someone has a great experience with a movie, and I just can't have that same experience. And I wanted to. That's what annoyed me, because I really wanted to have a good experience of watching Iron Man 3, but I just didn't enjoy it at all. It wasn't a good experience for me. Maybe it's one of those movies that I need to give another second watch in my home theatre now, rather than the movie theatre. But for me, yeah, Iron Man 3, just watching that movie was just dreadful for me. Another great experience I want to speak about in this video is the movie Oblivion, and my watching experience of watching that at the cinema. Oblivion, the Tom Cruise movie, I think it's a great sci-fi movie. First of all, I enjoyed the story. It's not probably the most beloved Tom Cruise movie, but I think he does sci-fi movies quite well. I think that Live, Die and Repeat movie was quite good as well. But Oblivion, really cool sci-fi movie, really good cast. You got Morgan Freeman, he's involved in the movie as well. And I don't want to spoil the movie, but what I want to talk about is the soundtrack. and the soundtrack was by, I believe it's by an artist called M83, and I was just astonished by the soundtrack. I think it is produced or it's orchestrated by the same people, the same person who done Daft Punk's soundtrack for Tron Legacy. So it's a really, really good soundtrack, and I just was mesmerised by how good it was and how much it made this movie. You know, it lifted this movie from being a good sci-fi movie to a fantastic sci-fi movie, and that's why I really enjoyed it. The soundtrack was just phenomenal. And if you've never watched the movie or you've never listened to the soundtrack, definitely give it a listen. The last cinema experience I want to speak about today is one of my best, most favourite cinema experiences of all time, and that is the portals scene in Avengers Endgame. Whoa, that scene, again, very much like the Vader scene, just really popped with me as a fan for movies. As a big fan of the MCU, of the Marvel movies, and just what they've done with the whole story throughout all the Marvel movies with Thanos and the Infinity Stones, this was the perfect, you know, coming together of all the heroes. The portal scene is when, you know, Captain America's standing there and he hears something on his earpiece, and he hears Sam Wilson, and basically then all the portals are opened by Doctor Strange and all these cronies, and then we see every Marvel character you can think of coming onto the scene, apart from the X-Men because they're not there yet, but everyone else, they're all there and they all come through, and the music is phenomenal. And then we see this massive, like, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers type battle where it's just a massive war scene. But just that scene was just like, it felt like a payoff of like 10 years. It was just a payoff of tons of fantastic storytelling, magnificent storytelling for that matter. And it just hit home with just, that's what you can do with cinema. That is the experiences, and you can create that emotion within people within cinemas. And for me, I was like, just like gripping my seat with emotion. Just, I weren't crying, but I was just like, whoa, goosebumps on my arms, on my neck. I could feel it, and it was such a phenomenal experience within the cinema. If you've enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more movie related videos, and please do click on the notification bell as well. And if you want to support this channel and more videos like this, please do check out the Amazon affiliate links below. If you click on them links and buy something from them, a small percentage of that sale goes to supporting myself and the channel. I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I'd love to find out what are your best and worst cinema experiences, and do you have some of the same as myself, some of the same experiences as well. Let me know your thoughts on this video, and thank you very much for watching.